From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Dave DeForrest reporting a deadline nears for Iran talks. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohamed Javad Zarif is to meet several of his European Union counterparts on Monday. The final round of talks on the Iranian nuclear program are to begin later in the week. The French news agency reports an unidentified EU source says the meeting with Britain's Philip Hammond, France's Laurent Fabius, and Germany's Frank-Walter Steinmeier will be a political meeting ahead of the final negotiations. The talks will be held on the sidelines of a full meeting of EU foreign ministers. U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter will visit Europe this week to urge NATO allies to make some changes due to threats from Russia and the Islamic State group. He's to meet with officials of Germany, Estonia, and Belgium to encourage ministers to work together to counter threats facing Europe. Greece's prime minister says he has issued new proposals to help his country avoid defaulting on its debt. Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras presented the new proposals to European leaders Sunday, speaking by phone with French President François Hollande, German Chancellor Angela Merkel, and European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker. Mr. Tsipras made the call as heads of the 19 Eurozone countries prepare to hold an emergency summit on the Greek debt crisis in Brussels on Monday. Al-Shabaab militants in Somalia have attacked a National Intelligence Agency compound in the capital. The raid on the National Intelligence and Security Agency, NISA, on Sunday in Mogadishu started with a suicide car bombing. NISA said the attack was successfully thwarted. Media reports indicated there were casualties. This is VOA News. Worshippers returned to a black South Carolina church today for the first time since a white man gunned down a Bible study group at the church last week. Visitors from Charleston and as far away as California packed into the church for services. Churches across Charleston rang their bells in unison in solidarity with the stricken congregation. The accused shooter, meanwhile, Dylan Roof, has been charged with 9 counts of murder and 1 count of criminal possession of a firearm. An antiquities official says Islamic State militants have placed mines throughout the historic area of Palmyra in Syria. The explosives were laid on Saturday, according to the Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Battles raged Sunday in northern Afghanistan, where Taliban insurgents have seized a key district and have lost control of another. Authorities in northern Kunduz province say the Taliban has established control of the key Chardara district. Afghan security forces are trying to halt Taliban advances on the provincial capital. An Interior Ministry spokesman says Afghan forces have flushed Taliban insurgents out of the northeastern Yamgan district. That area had fallen to the Taliban nearly 3 weeks ago. Turkey's nationalists closed the door this weekend on forming a coalition government with the country's main opposition party. The action sets the stage for either a new parliamentary election or for the ruling Justice and Development Party to remain in power with nationalist support. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's Islamist AKP emerged as the biggest winner in the June 7th election, but lost its parliamentary majority, the one that would be needed for a one-party government. The U.S.-based Committee to Protect Journalists is urging Egypt to stop what it describes as a politically motivated campaign against the Al Jazeera television network. The group also called on Germany to release jailed Al Jazeera reporter Ahmed Mansour immediately. Mansour, an Egyptian-British reporter with the network's Arabic service, was detained Saturday in Berlin on an Egyptian warrant while trying to board a plane to Qatar. Mansour was sentenced in absentia by an Egyptian court last year on charges of participating in the torture of an Egyptian lawyer. He denies the charges. The network calls the charges absurd. South Korea reported 3 new cases of Middle East respiratory syndrome, or MERS, on Sunday. The AFP news service listed a doctor and another healthcare worker as among the new cases. The health ministry also reported the death of a MERS patient, raising the death toll now to 25. I'm Dave DeForrest.
That's the latest world news from VOA.